Welcome to TechNologia Talks, your one place where we break down the latest trends in technology and finance, where we dissect AI and economic strategy. Thank you for tuning in. We are your hosts, Elvis and Explicit.
Hi, I'm Explicit, the founder of Lennox, an AI tutor that helps you learn using your interests. If you're interested in music, we'll teach you just using that. Try learn-x.co.
Yes, and my name is Elvis, the founder of Thoroughly, the first agentic buttering platform that allows cashless exchange of goods and services. Basically, the next Facebook marketplace where everything from search, negotiation, payment, and delivery is powered by agents. Thank you.
Yeah, so today we are bringing you an episode on feedback and just customer discovery, right? We've had a lot of people come to us because we are founders to know how you get feedback, to know who to ask, and how to just go about when you're trying to get product validation and customer feedback.
Yeah, that's what we shall be talking about today. We have had so many friends personally that, are building and want to know if they're building the right tools.
Yeah, so getting into one of the hardest things about building is this whole feedback thing, right? Um, in the first instance, is that it is already hard to find people who give you solid feedback because almost everyone that you're going to will probably tell you that this is the best idea in the world. Have you ever found something like that? Or
Yep. No, I had a friend recently that interviewed us for his startup idea, and I have experience in his field building marketplaces, and I wanted to tell him how hard it was, but I had to hold back a little bit, and I did feel bad, but I trust that from what we gave him that day, he will, of course, use that feedback. But yeah, it's hard sometimes to say the things you want to say, even as a founder who is giving feedback to other people. And another interesting thing too is that sometimes as a founder, you've already built your platform, your product, right? Building is easy these days. I have a friend who was telling me this recently. He has analytics in his software to track every metric, but there's no users, right? And so, what will the analytics?
before, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah. So yeah, it's very important to get feedback, and it's really hard.
Yeah, it also comes to that one, people are trying to be nice to you. That's why people say that don't go to your mom to ask for feedback. I think that way it comes to moving away from your friends when you're trying to get feedback, because in most instances, your friends are kind of going to be lenient towards you. But but that's the nice thing. If you have startup founders, they are likely to give you clues when they are speaking about it. Most startup founders that I know that have been in the game for a while, they know how hard it is, so they try to be kind of more open up about it.
True.
I know there's other platforms like Reddit. I haven't used Reddit to try to get feedback, but I know you have some experience there.
Yes. So you're always told to find the right audience, right, to sell your product to, because sometimes your friend might not be a customer for what you're building, right? So yeah, first part, talk to the right people, and a lot of advice you see online is just go to Reddit. Content creators saying post your product on Reddit. That's how you'll go viral. But it's really hard to on Reddit because I've seen people post something in a subreddit that was relevant, but because they were accused of maybe promoting or trying to sell, they got banned from the Reddit subgroup, right? So then they didn't get the feedback they needed. Also, personally, I'm in the YC subreddit, and I've seen many times where founders ask for genuine feedback, but Reddit is just, the YC subreddit is just so strict. The bot gives you like 2 seconds, and then your post is taken down, And I feel like it's really hard being a founder to get the feedback.
Yeah.
And yeah, if someone's just asking a question, please let them know, but it's really hard, especially on Reddit and where you find the audiences sometimes is hard as well.
How do you think the world would be like if people would just be like, bro, your product is useless? I think it would shape the world in a better way.
Yep. No, I agree. So many wasted resources and time, if you knew earlier on that you were working on the wrong thing. Yeah, I definitely agree. Because again, like in this YC group chat, someone asked something that I have an answer to, but I cannot even respond to it and guide them, because they've been kicked off.
Yeah, that's valid.
But yeah, it's hard, and just make sure you find the right audience. Don't just ask your friends because they might be lying to you. Your mom loves you so much to tell you how much your product sucks. That being said, though, there is a science to getting feedback the right way.
Yeah, getting a little bit into the science about getting feedback the right way. So there's kind of different ways to get feedback from people, but the best feedback is gotten when you have natural conversations with someone, right? You, in most cases, you don't want to make it like it's an interview, because once you make it like it's an interview, naturally the person puts their guard up.
Yep.
And when that guard is up, they are going to give you like structured information. And what you're trying to get from feedback is the random information,
Yep.
and then you come with a solution to that randomness. Because like once the guard is up and it's not sort of an interview, someone is just going to give you the most optimized answers, which will probably won't solve the problem that they are talking about. So you want it to be more conversational. You want to make sure that they hear that you are hearing them at the same time. And you must be willing to move away from the main conversation.
Yep.
Let's say you're asking people maybe about energy drinks. And then someone starts talking about the journey that they had after drinking an energy drink. You must be willing to just now ask questions about that journey and be able to later on steer that conversation back to your agenda. So you don't want to make sure that your agenda is right out there. It sounds fishy, but the conversation has to be natural at the end of the day, so that you get the right information that you're looking for.
No, that is great advice. A very popular story is the story of DoorDash. The founders back in their early 2000s, they wanted to build something in the food industry. They didn't know it was going to be DoorDash. And they had an assumption, maybe I think it was something to help restaurants with advertising or payments, But then when they actually went and started speaking to the restaurant owners, they realized their biggest problem was the logistics of delivery, and everyone had the same problem. And so, when you speak to the right audience, like we said, they might go off topic and then actually help you land on the right idea.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the things that us most founders are afraid of, to let the conversation be free flow, let the consumer or potential consumer control that conversation. Because like most of the times we want to make it sort of like an experiment where you have like strict guardrails.
Yep.
But those strict guardrails will just make you confirm what you were thinking before. It won't you make like figure out maybe other potential problems that are associated with the problem that you're talking about.
Yep. And like you mentioned, you always want to have it more of a conversation and as opposed to a survey, right?
Yeah.
Best if you can record the conversation so you can come back to it later. Another thing that I've seen is building persona types sometimes, or just knowing exactly, again, who your exact audience is, down to how old are they, what are their problems. You want to understand deeply what their problem is and who their persona is. Because, again, if you're trying to sell for everyone, that's just noise at the end of the day.
It definitely is noise. And as you mentioned,
Yeah.
yeah, you mentioned about persona types and like recording the the audio of like how the conversation went, right? That also comes with like discovering the emotions that were being thrown in different situations. I think I've found those useful in times where it's like you think of something related to a problem, right? Maybe you are kind of doing a little pivot and then you go back to one audio that you did in a consumer discovery. This is something that happened to me. And then I heard the emotions that they were throwing in at that specific point, which was different from what I was looking for in the first instance.
Mm.
So it comes to that thing of that, as a founder, you're actually filtering out everything else,
Yep.
right? But if you have those recorded, when you then maybe figure out what some other problems actually are, and you hear the emotions that they were throwing out in, you definitely be able to kind of figure something out. I don't know if
Yep.
you're getting where I'm going with this.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. Um, so another thing too is get help from the right people. Learn from the right resources. For instance, we are on campus. We have mentors to help us with starting a business that we can go to, and it's their job to help you make the perfect survey. Ask the right questions because you don't know everything, right?
Yeah.
Talk to other founders, hear their story. Um, I know I've participated in several competitions, entrepreneurial competitions, where they have maybe 48 hours of just coming up with ideas and then going through the ideation process, the survey process, and yeah, there's so much to learn from doing it the right way.
No, that's actually true. And that third person perspective helps you see things that you weren't seeing because already, I think having a startup is creating your own bubble and you want to have people popping that bubble every time so that you don't stay in an illusion.
Yep, you have to test your hypothesis. There's also a very good book called The Mom's Test. You should read it. It'll help you navigate going about customer discovery.
Yeah, I'll probably look into that because I've had a lot of people mention that it's a great book for customer discovery. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you get into maybe some of your personal stories about like feedback so that maybe, sometimes when you are talking about this, people might think that you're a motivational speaker, but but the difference is that you have experienced this.
Yeah. So I'm building Thoroughly, the first agentic buttering platform, where you don't have to pay with money when getting something from your neighbor, right? And my idea is very different or visionary, and so it needs a lot of discovery. I'm always talking to my customers to see if I'm building the right thing. And also, it's very hard if you're doing something visionary. That's a different topic for another day. But so I've done multiple types of surveys. I've done, of course, the interviews where I record. I've also done tabling where I go outside and I have a table by the library and I'm talking to students for 6 hours straight, right? Some of them can be at the right events, could be like a sustainability event, and so then I'm speaking to my target audience. But the most unique, almost important, where I've gotten feedback is when I'm at a cafeteria and then I see someone or I'm seated next to someone and maybe I've changed my logo like 2 days ago. And I'm like, is this the right logo or do I have to again iterate? I know I love it, but will people love it? And so then I walk up to a random person and I'm like, what do you think of this logo? And instantly they say, I hate it. And I'm like, oh, it's someone I don't know and they've given me straight on the truth. They don't like it, Or for my app, when I will hide the app name, and then I'll show just the logos of different apps. Then I'll ask them which one is the worst, which one is the worst app icon here, and they point to mine, and I'm like, oh no! And I did that multiple times until I found the right app logo. So that's like a right way of doing it. That really worked well for me, and also for like my app name. I've gone through multiple names. Names are very important, and so sometimes, yeah, the same way. I give them a list of names and what do you think is the perfect name for this app? And yeah, until I found one that people really resonate with. So yeah, that's my story.
Oh, that's actually great. I can see that this was iterative, getting more feedback after feedback, which is really nice. I think there's a sort of a barrier that we create for ourselves that most founders get feedback once and never go on and continuously like get feedback. So yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
So I'm building Linux. I think I mentioned before, which is an education platform that helps you personalize your education material. If you're interested in something, it teaches you using exactly your interest, right? So it's a lot of talking to students, talking to professors, talking to different kinds of faculty. You also need to talk to like CELT, who runs like how technologies are integrated on campuses. So it has layers of like feedback that you have to continuously hear from, and feedback is not something that is done once and you won't do it, because like regulations are changing day by day. Some schools are like, okay, we are limiting access tokens to specific tools. So you have to continuously be in touch with these different three layers of people. So with students, when we started Linux, we went directly to students. He heard like what their problems were, because I had like, two kinds of like surveys or feedback. The first one was hearing, is this even a problem? So we just went there without like a product, right? We were like, what problems are you facing, right? How do you think this could be solved?
Yep.
And it was early in the game of AI, right?
Yep.
And we were like, are you even willing just to like use AI generally? Just hearing things like that. Then we heard those, and then after we refined from those feedback that we got, right, we then went into a second layer of like feedback where we were asking that, okay, provided there was this like tool, how would you think about it? But that's what I really realized from that second feedback. It was kind of like biased because it was way too positive. Because it was kind of revealing that you're working on something, right? People would think that maybe you're working on a school project, you're working on whatever, or you're working on a startup or whatever. But people were so nice.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'll ever do that again. Especially right now, it's now easier to just like build something, put it in front of someone, see how long they will use it. Is this something that they will interest you? Gives you way better feedback than anything. So
True.
yeah.
I like that example you mentioned. Everything was just so nice, right? I try to keep mine open-ended too, so I don't lead them for some of the written surveys that I've sent out, because it's also very easy to have a written survey, put it on your story, on your LinkedIn, and then get hundreds or even thousands of responses. There are times when I get a lot of good, but every now and then there'll be that outlier where someone says something very negative, and then it kind of ruins all the good. Because again,
Yeah. I think one thing that people should realize is that startup founders, or something that startup founders should actually start appreciating, is that negative feedback.
Yep.
Usually, that negative feedback is way useful than the positive feedback.
Yep.
Because like usually when someone throws a negative, because like it's a matter of like usually when someone throws a negative feedback, it's actually their feeling.
Yeah.
It's so rare for someone to just like shoot a negative like comment which is not true. But it's so common that we have so normalized that everything should be in the sweetest of words.
Yep.
It's
I was so angry. I was like, "Who's this negative person?" I was like, "Let me see, who could have responded this?" Because it was anonymous. But I was like, "I want to know. Reveal them to me." But yeah, it's very important to take it as it is. For me, the negative feedback that I got was, "Well, you've been working on this for almost maybe 2 years now. So how comes it hasn't like blown off? Which was a fair, response. But I also felt like it was kind of ignorant too, because no, I'm not justifying, but they didn't know like when I'd paused and all. I wasn't working on it for 2 years straight.
Okay.
I just restarted and been 4 months. And also, they don't know how hard it is to go viral and how going to market is very easy. They aren't technical to know how going to market is very hard.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I think it then comes to people think that when you start a startup, everything is done. They think that once the product is there, everything is just going to be an uphill. But there's still a lot of like technicalities around it.
Yep. The best feedback I've gotten, this is random. I tried sharing this with you. The best feedback I've gotten was from someone built an AI tool for Paul Graham, based off Paul Graham's essays. And basically, you feed it your ideas and everything, and then the AI trained on Paul Graham's essays tells you if it's a good or bad, thing. And that thing was so brutal. It was so honest. It was. You say you have a patent, but actually, according to Paul Graham, patents are useless. In fact, they don't invest in startups that have patents because patents are very distracting. You think you have something, but actually the patent is useless unless it works. And I was like, bro, what do you mean my patent is useless? Regardless. And yeah, it was a lot of deep, straight up, advice. Also talks about how like most of your people filling up the surveys are your friends, and surveys don't really say anything at the end of the day. But yeah.
Well, that's true. But with all that, right? After getting the feedback, it comes to the resistance that's there, right? I've seen that most of the times when I give my brutal feedback in a nice way, people are kind of like resistant towards that because like most founders are arrogant.
Yep.
If we're being honest about it, they're so deeply connected to the product that they were making.
Yep.
So they become arrogant and they don't see anything else besides what they're working on, and they think this is the perfect of ideas. So it then becomes to that once you get that good feedback, you might be arrogant to it and not take it.
True. Yeah. And also, it's tricky because sometimes because maybe you as a founder, you're trying to get the positives.
Yeah.
Sometimes if the person that's on the other end maybe say something positive can be distracting because then you're going to filter out what you want to listen to, right? So then it's tricky because if I'm too harsh, then it's just, but also if I say something that is kind of positive, then I'm also like throwing them off. It's really hard, but
yeah, I definitely get it. And as a founder as well, you're kind of trying to filter out the noise because like maybe that negative feedback at that point is from someone who's not like fully understanding the product. That's one. Maybe it doesn't even align with what you're doing. So there's a lot of, you're trying to filter out noise as well to see what the actual signal is.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, sometimes what is your key major takeaways from this video?
First one, if you're giving feedback, tell the truth, and wait, I'm gonna have to say that. My major my major takeaway is if you're a founder receiving feedback, it's important to not take it personally. And the best, honest feedback is the best feedback because it saves you time and effort, right? So at the end of the day, be happy that you're hearing this negative stuff because it's actually that negative feedback that moves the needle. I know, knowing you're very appreciative of that. And that's something I like working with you because I tell you and you understand. Yeah. And then if you're the friend that's helping a founder, tell them the right feedback too. And, help push them, nudge them in the right direction. You don't want to break their heart and then ruin the friendship, but definitely don't just say everything is all flowers and roses, Yeah, be honest, but it's tricky, but try nudging them in the right direction.
No, you said everything that I would have said, but I would have said it in a rudier way.
More direct, right?
Okay. If you're giving feedback, just tell people this product is useless or I would not use this product. I think it's that simple, right? If you want to be nice about it, I love the solution, but I don't think it's for me. That's being nice, and I think if you see the person that you're giving that feedback not appreciating that, then they actually have issues. They're not looking for feedback. They're looking for some emotional, I don't know, backing.
Validation.
Yeah, some validation. But like, I think if they're about to put their life towards something, it's not about emotional validation to that extent. So be just straight up. And if you're a founder, just learn to take constructive feedback as well, and try to filter out noise from signal.
Yes, perfect.
With that, thank you all for tuning in.